because this is not like printer outsourcing or tech support outsourcing. So both IoT and deep learning, AI are in the realms where the value starts shifting. So if you are building a company where you're going to actually sell products, and if you outsource your IoT or if you outsource your DL, be aware that you can be displaced because you don't control the critical part of your business. Okay. So I see already in the IoT field and the approach which we have taken in our software is to recognize the fact that the smarter companies are not going to outsource this stuff. They're going to control their destiny with their own hands. So they're going to keep IoT in-house, they're going to keep data in-house, they're going to keep that control. So they may hire people, but they're definitely not going to park their stuff with somebody else. So this is something which you have to watch and observe, and it's an opportunity, both a challenge and an opportunity to capitalize upon.
Okay, a valid point, Ashok, that what you're saying. Never outsource your IP. That's what I've been in outsourcing industry and consulting many clients. We always say that be with what you are doing. It's your product, it's your knowledge. Don't outsource that. If you are in healthcare, you are in a product, you are in manufacturing, electric, PNG, what do you have? Keep that business with you. IT is not your main business. Printing is not your main business. Taking care of customer is your business. Yes, if that product relies to. Rest everything. So what he says is absolutely makes sense. Otherwise, you're going to go displaced. If you want to start a business, if you are in a business or diversifying, make sure you are getting into the right product and don't do something that is not your own core IP.
I just wanted to use that example and point out how the nuance are. There is an agricultural company, very well established. I'm not going to get into names. They recently signed up with a startup and they grow tomatoes, okay? Just plain old tomatoes. Okay? They have increased yield by about 23 or 24%. Okay? That's a huge number. And the system which they have used actually uses cameras to watch when the tomatoes are ready for harvesting, or if they have any pesticide issue, or if they are actually going down. That's all they're doing, right? The question which comes to my mind is who does that data belong to? Does it belong to the software startup or to the agriculture company? Because if it belongs to the software startup, and that's how the deal has been cut, that tomato company is no longer going to exist in 5 years. Because the real value is in that software moving forward. And so they can go enable it. And I want to give that as an example because this is the battle which is going to happen. So smart companies will recognize that AI and IoT is going to put them out of business. And I bring up IoT not because I'm in IoT, because all of this sensor data actually comes from machines. So that's the importance here. You don't have a person going and checking these terminals, right? So whether it's a video surveillance systems or whether it's a sensor, the data for all this stuff is actually going to come from physical systems. And then you're going to do deep learning on that. Okay? And so if this company doesn't recognize, this tomato company doesn't recognize that their value now has shifted, they're going to be out of business. So smart companies who are actually building products need to become technology companies and recognize that it has to be used. I predict that those who don't do that will be out of business. They will simply be out of business because somebody's just going to take over their business. They may linger, just to your point, horseshoers, but it will become a lifestyle business, the profit margins will decline. It's like what is happening to retail now, right? They're fighting this difficult battle of trying to invest in technology to improve their business, but it's a catch-22 situation. They need money to invest, but they have been outsourcing technology all along. So now all of a sudden they don't know what to do, right? I mean, these are all outsourced companies. They have absolutely no clue. Their printers run fine, their data centers run fine, but they still don't know how to run their business well. Right? So I think there is an opportunity for non-technology companies to really win here by using technology but keeping it in-house.
And on that note, Yeah, I think somebody much more famous than I said software is eating the world. And I think that's totally true. And it goes along with what we're talking about here, where just a few years ago, prior to when I was in consulting, I had discussions with a company who was a 100-plus-year-old lighting company that came to us and said, we need to develop a solution for data related to data coming from light bulbs. And they're like, we have hundreds of engineers that can tell you how to build a light bulb or a light fixture, but we now need to know how to build a solution to collect data from lighting. And so, or we have pieces of that, but we need some other help in these other areas. And also, and again, I might be biased, but when I think about value in software, software is great. Code is really cool and everything like that, but the value, when I think of for a business, is going to come from the data that software brings. And, like you were saying, and especially in the IoT world, data is the blood of a software organism, if you think of it like that. So yeah, again, going back to, from a startup perspective, the software and the data are key, and again, you put those together, and then you think about, or when I think about, selling to any, whether it's a consumer product or something to the enterprise or something like that, knowing where your customers are going to be, how you can sell to them, reducing inventory that you have to hold, that would make your profit margins increase. All that gets into, then you're talking about predictive, predicting the market. So anybody who is going to be in software, or is going to be a business, is then going to be in software, is then going to be in the data, and is then going to be in predicting, using that data to extract business value. So all of that to say, I think, it's all in the data. That's, again, like I said, I might be biased, but that's
it's all in the data with the intention. Yeah. Rohit, I don't know how much time we have. We can go all day between three of us, but
Does anybody have any
questions or any? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So when Mr. Ashu Joshi was talking about the opportunity and the risk in AI and cognitive computing, so I just have I just read one scenario a few days back that Facebook has shut down one of their chatbot project because the two machines were connecting, talking with each other in the language which is not English. So that's what the scenario is. And my question was when we are thinking about some kind of starting some kind of startup in AI or cognitive computing or deep learning, so how these risks are associated with our thinking or the opportunities?
I think that Facebook example is an interesting example. Just to remark on that, first of all, we actually do not know what actually happened. Okay? And was there an actual language or not? What was going on? We really don't know, right? Because at the end of the day, even though AI is very advanced in some cases, and that's why people like Elon Musk are speaking up for regulating AI. The fact of the matter is these companies are not going to tell you actually what happened. So keep that in mind. Okay? So just don't read too much into it. But the second thing which I will tell you is that start with constraints first. Right? So if you are trying to build a deep learning system or a machine learning system, by the way, how many of you understand the difference between deep learning versus machine learning? So not many people. So just in one sentence, I'm new to this, but I'm actually looking exclusively at how to use deep learning, and I specify on deep learning. AI is the bigger umbrella. Machine learning is where you still use fixed, known algorithms to solve problems. So there is a human element in. So it's more like data science, but deep learning is when you actually don't know what the machine is doing, and that's where the Facebook example comes in. You don't know what the neural network is actually doing. And there are actually cases where most neural network cases cannot find the reason on why it came up with this. It just doesn't just doesn't work like that, right? So it doesn't tell you what it is. So just to go back to your question and answering it, I would just start with the constraints. So define the problem, understand the constraint, and use data and deep learning or machine learning within this set of constraints. If your constraints are known, machine learning and deep learning will actually produce phenomenal results. Okay? In fact, will be less risk than the human element. So there are certain use cases where it is actually perfect. Machine translation, for example, right? There is enough data set out there that sequential data for languages exists where machine translation works actually very effectively. 99.99%. Right? But you still would be careful when you are trying to use machine translation for political negotiations at United Nations, right? You don't want somebody like President Trump and the Chinese premier, using machine translation and depending on that. Right? But in most cases, yes, machine translation is going to work really well. So keep that in mind. If you know the constraints, machine learning and deep learning will work. Another idea I will give you actually is this: just focus on the data part. There is a huge need for data sets to be prepared. So if you can come up with an idea where you can actually make a data set available to somebody, forget the machine toolkit, okay? Forget all the toolkits. Forget the cloud stuff, forget TensorFlow. But if you can come up with a data set which you can provide to all these companies with the human element, you're going to be a rock star. Okay? There is going to be tons of people willing to give you money for the data. That's another element which we are looking at, where we just generate data, label data which can be used by machine learning.
So just to add to what Ashu said, data scientists and AI engineers are definitely going to be in demand. So if you are having a product and an idea, you need to see that kind of talent is available for you. Otherwise, sooner or later, similar situations are going to happen where, because of deep learning and not having that knowledge, we will not be able to control what's happening outside. Any other question?
Yeah, I have a question to Mr. Ashu.
Yeah.
Here. So you just said kings will be those who will own the data. So you mean the people who store the data, or you mean people who understand this data and they know what to do with that data?
The second part, where it is stored, is not really important. I could have all my data stored on somebody else's servers in a public cloud.
Exactly.
That is not important.
Yeah.
The question is what is the licensing agreement? Who does the data belong to?
Okay.
Right. So that's a key thing. For example, Netflix, all their content resides on AWS, but it doesn't belong to AWS.
Got it. Okay.
So that's the key point. And just on one thing, going back to one thing, I think if you really want to get into deep learning and build technology for it, go back to science school. So if you are a math or a physics student or a chemistry student, those are going to be in high demand. Absolutely, absolutely. Not engineering, pure science and math. So if you're a physicist, be proud that you're a physicist, because you're going to have a very high price tag, more than a computer science engineer might, because it's very, very complicated math which is required. We are trying to go in depth in the software which we are building, and now trying to understand calculus after 20 years of college. It's not easy. So if you have a scientific background, if you have a physics background, it's going to be immensely helpful. So don't ignore those fields of studies in the
So what are the challenges do you see other than the technology management?
Technology is definitely, but I think more than technology, again, I'm going back to my first point, people. Not having that talent, skill available, you will not be able to do any kind of product development. Even you have a non-technology product, you still need AI engineers, data scientists, and the technologists. Cloud is a vehicle for all this, naturally, because the field is already advanced. Netflix, as he gave example, it's already used. So you need all these 3 points: talent, the data, and the technology.
The domain expertise, especially now, because it's part of it is supervised learning. So if you're I give an example of the agriculture company. It is the agriculture company which is actually telling that software startup
Exactly.
that this is when the tomatoes grow.
And that's where adding the governance goes.
Yes, and that's why I made the point. Right now, the tomato company has the upper hand.
Yeah.
But as the knowledge transfer happens, it's no longer relevant because now the machine understands what's a good domain exam. Okay, so that is why ownership of the data is extremely important. Number one, so domain expertise is clearly important, and so I'll go back to my education thing. I have grown-up children now, so I'm advocating to them that they should not do computer science. I'm a computer science major. I am actually advocating to them do not do computer science. Okay? Try and specialize in a field because computer science is a toolkit. I tell my daughter, you don't need to be a programmer because she hates programming. Okay? I said, you don't have to. In fact, you make more money if you can actually leverage a program because programmers are not going to make it. It's how you use the technology. It's a toolkit. How you use it is more important than actually programming.
So where are you going to add the governance? Is it at the data where it's getting generated or is it where it's getting accumulated?
Before the governance, I actually want to go back. So by the way, my input is very specifically machine related. So I can't speak to data generated for things like advertising, human census populations and stuff like that. So ignore all the subjective stuff. So in my case, even before governance, making sure that the quality of data coming to you is valid. That means there are no errors built into the data stream, number one. Number two, there has to be a policy control and some mechanism of where a human can interfere and actually stop the process. And in the beginning, the final decision, I think, is still going to be left to the human. Okay? More and more systems, as they become more autonomous, slowly will have to go on. But there is going to be this transition period where it's going to be a little bit flaky. How much does the decision making decide with the machine versus the human? But in the beginning, there's going to be some human before you make it critical. And if it's a critical use case, I think the decision will be taken by a human. So, okay, I need to go do this. The risk, though, I see is how many of you use Google Maps or Apple Maps? Can you navigate to even your own destination without those maps out? No. So this is the problem I see where even human experience, that we will start relying, even doctors or engineers, they will start saying, oh, machine said so, that's why. That's the fear I have. Right? So even if healthcare imaging has become very sophisticated, that it can actually point out the cancer, surgeons might start relying it on too much. But that's the fear I have, that humans tend to take the lesser route, always look for a shortcut. And I am worried about that part, both as a consumer and as a technologist, that my life is going to be in the hands of somebody who, even though he has the governance, doesn't follow the governance. That's the part which
I think compliance and security is a bigger topic, but that is also required to be part of it. So if you are thinking of it, all these points you need to consider before getting into AI and ML. One last question, we have only 2 minutes. Yes, go ahead.
My question is for Orin. Orin, I'll tell you quickly, I had an experience when I was having a chat with one of the receptionists out in the United States and asked him to talk to the COO. Apparently, I got a hold of him, and it was only after 20 minutes that I realized that I am talking to artificial intelligence, AI, and I was a little scared because I wanted to ask you, what is the possibility of AI going to pose a threat to jobs or even humanity?
So I think we're going to see in kind of what I would say you were referred to as kind of like a chatbot AI. And I think there's going to be lots of cases where we just want to get an answer. The show of hands before of people who have talked to like a chatbot AI like Siri. I think we're going to see more and more of that. I think there's going to be places where, even in, like I said, I hope a lot of customers in the healthcare or in the healthcare industry, I think it's very possible that I can talk to an AI chatbot about a health condition that I might be having. Like, oh, well, actually just a few months ago, my daughter slid down a slide and ended up fracturing a bone in her leg. So if I had the ability to right then there on a mobile phone, either talk with a voice activated or a chatbot with like a text, I think that would be a good thing. Maybe not everybody thinks that way. Maybe they want to talk to a nurse, they want to talk to a doctor. Initially, in certain scenarios, I think we're going to see a more and more adoption of that. In other scenarios where we realize, oh, maybe I don't want to talk to a chatbot for everything. Maybe I'm getting very personal legal counsel or something like that. I want to talk to a human who I'm going to trust to not talk about something very personal, a legal concern or something like that. But like I said, I think there's going to be cases where it is going to cause disruption in certain industries. There's going to be some cases where AI, maybe not necessarily chatbots, but other AI and technologies like that impact the job industries in certain areas. So, I mean, does that answer your question?
I want to just give you a different side of the coin. It's not just AI. I mean, anything can displace jobs. I mean, how many of you seen trucks rolled by, those big container trucks? You've seen them. If you haven't, there's a guy called as Mark Levinson who has written a book on this. Okay, and he talks about how containers actually displaced majority of the jobs in the US about 100 years back, 50 years back. So 1970s is when containers started taking off. This physical thing which is not automated, there is no eye, there is no intelligence in it. This is simple physical object of a container displaced millions of jobs. They don't exist anymore. It's all replaced by a simple thing like container. So my take is that yes, we should think about it, but in today's world, there is stuff happening from simple to complicated, which is going to displace people's jobs. There is no way of avoiding it. So there is going to be a larger and larger population which doesn't know what to do with its time.
Just have a question. Any one of you may answer, please. Can we define intuition as an expanded data set of intelligence? And can machines be intuitive? In future, do you see it?
There is no simple answer for this. I think that intuition for machines comes from learning. Okay, and the way a machine evolves today is not how our brains evolve. Okay, we call it a neural network, but the physiology of a human brain and how we get instinct or intuition